I've got to wrap it up. I don't want to, but I have to. I want to ask you just quickly, the film director Olivia Wilde has a new movie out, which she says is based on you, this insane man, this pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community. Incel being these weirdo loner men who are despicable in many ways. Is that you? Are you the intellectual hero to these people?
Sure, why not? People have been after me for a long time because I've been speaking to disaffected young men. What a terrible thing to do that is. I thought the marginalized were supposed to have a voice.
You give them this message that it's okay to be a man.
It's not okay, it's necessary. What the hell are we gonna do without men? You look around the city here, you see all these buildings go up, these men, they're doing impossible things. They're under the streets, working on the sewers, they're up on the power lines, in the storms and the rain. They're keeping this impossible infrastructure functioning. They work themselves to death.
Here's a question. Let's have a real question. Can men and women work together in the workplace?
Yes, I do it.
How do you know?
Because I work with a lot of women.
Right, well, it's been happening for, 40 years? And things are deteriorating very rapidly at the moment in terms of the relationships between men and women.
Well, I'll be back later to go over this with you, Betty. Just in the meantime, do the best you can.
It's like we don't know if men and women can work together successfully.
But in what ways? Because
in the sexual harassment way.
Because 40 years ago, I would have been, I don't know, if I was a white man, I would have been Jacqueline's boss and I could have done whatever I wanted, right? And that there would be almost no recourse that a woman who's working under me would have.
Marriage, absenteeism, personality problems, aren't they really just a part of life?
Part of a woman's life, maybe. But I can remember the good old days when there were all men in my department, and we didn't have these problems.
It's making you emotional, talking about.
Well, God, it's very difficult to understand how demoralized people are. And certainly many young men are in that category. And you get these casual insults, these incels. What does it mean? It's like, well, these men, they don't know how to make themselves attractive to women.
I'm an incel. I am a proud incel.
Hey, we control your bodies. It's your body, my choice.
Yeah, doesn't it lead to a philosophy that's antithetical towards being? The most fundamental reality is pain. Yes. Is there anything more fundamental than pain? Love. Really? If you're in pain, love and truth, that's what you got. And if they're more powerful than pain, maybe they're the most real things.
We're learning new details this morning about the physical state of controversial psychologist and author Jordan Peterson. His family says he's in Russia undergoing what they describe as, quote, an emergency detox.
Dad was put on a low dose of a benzodiazepine a few years ago for anxiety following an extremely severe autoimmune reaction to food. It became apparent that he was suffering from both a physical dependency and a paradoxical reaction to the medication. For the last 8 months, he's been in unbearable discomfort from this drug, made worse when trying to remove it because of the addition of withdrawal symptoms stemming from physical dependence.
According to Michaela, after multiple failed rehab attempts, Peterson was moved to Russia for alternative treatments. The unknown treatment put Peterson into a medically induced coma for 8 days and gave him neurological damage. So if you think that Peterson is not quite the same Peterson as he was back in 2018, that might be why.
Well, I think you really want to know what I think? I think it's revenge against God for the crime of being. That's really what I think. It's Cain and Abel. It's like, oh, Abel's your guy, eh, God?
What if I take him out in the field and beat him to death? How do you feel about that? All my sacrifices went unrewarded. Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's what it is at the bottom of the hell of things.
In the middle of her father's hospitalization, Michaela left her husband and dad to travel around Romania with Andrew Tate. His words, not mine, a misogynist pickup artist, which is not.
Females are barely sentient, even the good ones.
And webcam pimp who runs a scam website and thinks that depression doesn't exist.
The British government has charged Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan with rape and human trafficking, among other charges.
Andrew Tate invited me to come see his house and talk business. And he flew me over there. He was talking about starting a paywall, trying to figure out how to monetize content.
It includes transcriptions of what the prosecution says are text and audio messages, which appear to show how the alleged trafficking operation was managed and the apparent coercion, control, and abuse of women by Mr. Tate and his co-defendants. In one transcribed exchange, Andrew Tate appears to coerce an alleged victim into group sex using abusive language. His brother Tristan is also quoted in prosecution transcripts, allegedly talking about slaving women for 10 to 12 hours a day.
Listen, she's a nice lady. Nothing happened. I spoke to her a bit. Come visit. We'll go see some castles. We'll jump in one of my 17 supercars. And that's what we did. That's the story.
Translation, I fucked the shit out of her.
No!
When you were going through the divorce with Michaela Peterson, that took you to a place where you had to choose, right? You probably experienced an incredible amount of fear. What was that like, divorcing Michaela? How did that come about, and what did you learn about yourself?
Hi, everybody. I want to read to you a piece I wrote recently called Butchers and Liars. I was, after all, calling out the casual, pathetic, and cringing compliance of the psychotherapeutic community, and suggesting, again, somewhat bluntly, that the sadistic and greedy surgeons, masked by an appalling moral self-righteousness, should be jailed for practicing their fiendish and ghoulish craft on children. Why are we butchering children if no one thinks it's a good idea? And I would ask those reading and watching, listening, to think very hard about that question. Sex and gender are different if you regard gender an appallingly ill-defined term. People do differ widely in their temperament. My personality has many feminine features. I am agreeable, compassionate / polite, and have rather high levels of negative emotion, leading me, for example, to cry too easily. It's on you, folks. Every castrated child, every young woman made artificially barren, every budding beauty, so ashamed of her breasts that she lets a Machiavellian psychopath cut them off. Have some courage and some fortitude. Man the barricades and keep the degenerates away from the children.
The last couple of months have been weird for me as a creator. I originally made this channel just over a year ago. I posted a video that got only a minor amount of attention and then immediately started feeling sick. I don't mean I started feeling sick because of the video. That was completely unrelated, but I was literally sick every day. It was mostly stress, so YouTube wasn't really on my mind. Nearly 1 year, a couple of x-rays, an MRI, and a cancer excision later, and I started thinking about making videos again. The cancer thing, it was minor, but it did prompt a bit of introspection, and I figured I'd give YouTube another go. Things escalated pretty quickly, and over 2 months I accumulated over 500,000 views on just a handful of videos.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
Overall, the feedback was positive, and I even had someone react to a video without giving me any credit, which I think is a staple of success.
People of the internet, today we're going to learn how Bert Kreischer went from professional comedian to professional crybaby. We're going to see how that all went down. Right? Meow.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
I started to think, was it possible, had I made something that was actually good?
To rank as a masterpiece, a work of art must stand as a supreme and timeless accomplishment. Creating one work this extraordinary could be the crowning glory of any artist's life.
No. This was the internet. I would promptly be reminded that of course, that wasn't possible. I know I'm not Mr. Beast or anything, but I didn't expect that number of views or the criticism that would come with it. I felt adrift, conflicted, so I sought out refuge and insight and a safe haven for every rudderless man caught between the tides.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan podcast by night, all day.
Boom, and we're live. 12 rules for life. So without reading this, so what you're saying is, that's what I like.
There's only 12 things you need to know in life, right? That's it?
Over the last decade or so, Jordan Peterson has methodically worked his way into becoming a thought leader for the lost male by way of his lectures, podcast appearances, and books.
Why did I write We Who Wrestle with God?
He's been able to position himself as a figurehead for young men aimlessly wandering through life. Books like 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos, which is conveniently available for free as a PDF on GitHub if anyone happened to be interested in reading it or just referencing it in a video and didn't want to go buy a copy. The first rule of life, be like a lobster. According to Peterson, when a lobster loses a fight, quote, its brain basically dissolves and it grows a new subordinate's brain, one more appropriate to its new lowly position, end quote. All of which is not true. In fact, not only does the lobster's brain not dissolve, the study he references in his book are actually observations of crayfish, which are in fact not lobsters. Peterson wasn't always a lighthouse for wayward men. When Jordan Peterson, a professor and clinical psychologist, first appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience in late 2016, his focus wasn't on motivation or self-help at all. Jordan's whole purpose was to talk about Canada's Bill C-16, an act to amend the Canadian Human Rights Act and Criminal Code, which did nothing more than add gender identity and gender expression to lists of protected characteristics among things like race, religion, sex, age, and disability. From my understanding, it's very similar to the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act in the United States. But according to Peterson, it created some sort of Orwellian speech law that would have someone jailed for using the wrong pronoun, something that still to this day hasn't occurred.
Not choosing to use made-up pronouns versus calling someone generally accepted racial slurs.
Yeah.
That they're trying to frame that as the same thing.
Well, and the
is
racial,
so intellectually dishonest.
Well, the racial slurs are also legal. So what's happening is the law is already such that not using one of these made-up pronouns is a crime, whereas using a racial epithet isn't.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. So you could use the N-word.
Joe Rogan is once again under fire this morning, this time after a compilation video of the podcaster repeatedly using the N-word made the rounds online.
I don't say the N-word, but I definitely have. I would lie to you, but there's a lot of evidence.
Saying the word you've already said D is just like saying she's calling you it's like this boy that he's a there should be a word like that's our he says guy and there are
Hello friends. I'm making this video to talk about the most regretful and shameful thing that I've ever had to talk about publicly. There's a video that's out that's a compilation of me saying the N-word. It's a video that's made of clips of me of 12 years of conversations on my podcast. Now, I know that to most people, there's no context where a white person is ever allowed to say that word. But for a long time, when I would bring that word up, like if it would come up in conversation, I would just say the word. I thought as long as it was in context, people would understand what I was doing. Hopefully, at least some of you will accept this and understand where I'm coming from. My apologies and much love.
With his appearances on the Joe Rogan Experience, Peterson now had attention, and with it opportunity, and he wasn't going to let that go to waste, so for years he worked tirelessly to build a fan base of what I like to call no pussy getting ass marks, stepped away from the world of academia and began touring.
All right, he's embarking on a 40-city speaking tour for his new book, 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos.
After a rewatch of Jordan Peterson's many Joe Rogan appearances, I knew what I had to do. So I logged on to Jordan Peterson's website, grabbed my credit card, and took a look at his touring schedule. And It turns out he's only touring in Europe right now, so a live lecture wasn't on the table, which, financially speaking, is probably for the best. But fortunately, I had another option.
We've got a questionnaire that's called Understand Myself.
And the test I took last night will help as well.
Oh yeah, that's another thing we didn't talk about. I have this test online called understandmyself.com.
Jordan Peterson has carefully curated an exhaustive list of over 100 questions and compiled it into his Understand Myself test. And for only $9.95, I could have clarity as if the incel whisperer himself had given me a private clinical therapy session. If you feel unhappy, depressed, or anxious, the testing guidelines recommend coming back at a better time to complete it. But since I'm always at least one of those three things, I decided to go ahead and take it now, and 10 minutes later I would have a new understanding and realization of self. It turns out I'm highly neurotic and have low conscientiousness, which I guess is to say I'm not very tidy.
Whoa! Oh, this place is packed. Right, yeah, don't make a mess.
Clean your room. Clean your room. I clean my room.
You like clean your room, like Jordan Peterson says? How about we clean our room?
How about you clean your fucking room, bitch? What's this? Is that a toilet?
In other words, I'm exactly the type of person Jordan Peterson should appeal to. After reflecting on my test scores, I realized two things. One, the test is really just a Jordan Peterson branded personality test based on the open source 5-factor model. This is readily available for free, but Peterson made the podcast rounds to promote it as some sort of life-changing assessment to scam $10 out of his fans.
I gotta figure out how to make money on this thing. It's simply too good.
The second, now that I have the data, I don't know what to do with it. The test doesn't give you any insight beyond the basic results, so now I'm back to square one. And then I had a realization. Not about Jordan Peterson or lobsters, and definitely not about open source personality metrics dressed up as revelation, but about my content. I realized I had mistaken recognition for progress and success. I started making these videos with the belief I had something to say and I knew how they were supposed to sound. I knew the target audience and cadence, and I thought if I could match the rhythm with the outrage and edit a video that looked the part, the almighty algorithm would reward me for it. And it did. Just like Peterson, I had put a Trill Marsh spin on reheated, pre-chewed talking points and laundered them through irony and edits to make them palatable enough to share. And the results were slop. Sure, cleanly edited, well-researched slop with a narrative arc, but still content that feels productive, but under a microscope is hollow, like the nutritional value of potato chips. I was quickly pigeonholing myself into the comedy cringe critique genre and becoming too invested with analytics. I realized I had to either give in to the temptation to make pure slop, the type of content that's like feed in an animal trough. It's cheap and engineered to be easily devoured and keep consumers eating for the next recommendation served up by YouTube's algorithm. Or I had to make a drastic decision. I know this is going to be hard and cost me some subscribers. Some will even be disappointed. I feel like Abraham on the mountain about to plunge a dagger into my child's heart.
Give me the strength to do what I must.
But God himself neither instructed what I was about to do and definitely wasn't going to intervene.
Trill Ma, do not harm your child.
Oh, too late. And now I can't stop. I've discovered myself as a creator. My content, it's all built on a poor foundation. So I need to continue on and borrow structure from someone who has it figured out. Jordan Peterson offers that structure. Rules, hierarchies, a vocabulary for meaning that feels sturdy for an impressionable man to cling to. I pressed on, seeking more knowledge. As it happens, Jordan Peterson offers an online academy he can't seem to shut the fuck up about.
I also started this thing that we're going to launch called the Peterson Academy, where I'm going to get all the great lecturers I know to make courses. That'll be a universally accessible university. We're launching a university in the fall, an online university called Peterson Academy, and we're hoping that we can bring high quality social interaction and lectures and accreditation, evaluation, assessment, all of that to a broad audience all around the world for like a 95% reduction in cost.
And that's going to be an accredited, that'll be an actual degree, like in whatever.
Well, we're working out
fields.
I don't think it'll be an accredited degree, you know. So I think what we're going to do instead is we're going to make sure that our testing and accreditation is extremely rigorous, so that if you are awarded a certificate by our platform, let's say, the people who might hire you will know that you've done the work, that you've stuck to the tasks, that you're literate, that you can think. And that we want to produce the certification. We want to make the certification of high enough value so it'll speak to itself for employers.
Yeah.
I've got other projects I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
All right?
Sure.
We're launching Peterson Academy today. So, online university. We're hoping we'll make a high-level, university equivalent education available to everyone for approximately 1/20th the cost.
The university, and I use that term very loosely, is co-founded by Jordan Peterson and his daughter Michaela. Oh, Michaela. In a world full of semi-intellectual, red-pilled neocons complaining about participation trophies, we're graced with Michaela Peterson, a college dropout who somehow managed to become the founder and CEO of 3 companies within the health and wellness community, or horseshit economy if you prefer, as well as the Peterson Academy. Michaela's also undergone a bit of a physical transformation over the years, a bit of a glow-up you might say, making nepotism sexy. She attributes most of her changes to the Lion Diet, which is pretty much a rebranded product with a Peterson name attached. See the Understand Myself test.
This episode is brought to you by Better Fed Beef, where I get my meat.
The main difference between the standard carnivore diet and Michaela's Lion Diet is the elimination of items like eggs and dairy, which helps prevent its followers from beginning to literally ooze cheese. Not only an entrepreneur, Michaela's also a dedicated daughter, wife, and mother who left her sick father, husband, and child to go give business advice to Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate invited me to come.
Now, of course, I never could, nor would I ever speculate about any extramarital affairs in Michaela's personal life. A sexual affair with Andrew Tate is what I'm fucking referring to here. But I will point out Andrew Tate has repeatedly expressed a personal worldview that women have no meaningful role in society beyond, at most, some form of sexual utility.
I think my sister is her husband's property, yes. When a bride is walking down the aisle to marry the groom, the father walks next to her and gives her away. True or false?
Absolutely.
None of this would have any impact on Michaela's credibility as the leader of an institution of higher learning, which, for only $400, provides access to the minds of the greatest lecturers in the world in classes crafted so employers just know by the fact you've attended that you're a hireable candidate. At the Peterson Academy, one could take unconventional civics with Dan Crenshaw and go into politics, or study God, the Bible, and humanity with Bishop Robert Barron, go into theology and start their own ministry, maybe even eventually grow their own megachurch. Yeah, this is actually a real church, by the way. Or how about studying neuroscience under Dr. Baland Jalal? And who's to say? Discover the cure for Alzheimer's. That's right, the Dr. Baland Jalal, who says shooting yourself in the head cures OCD.
There was a guy who had OCD. He had severe OCD, and it's hyperactive in OCD because you imagine the whole world is dangerous all the time. Everything is terrifying, like everything is contaminated. He took a gun and through the head. The bullet went through his brain, took a part of the orbitofrontal cortex, and by accident his OCD was cured. Imagine. Can you believe this? He became an accidental brain surgeon.
This is where fortune has brought me. I've decided I'll apply to the prestigious Peterson Academy, study the material, and manufacture my own certainty. But first, I need to prepare. If I want to inhabit Jordan Peterson ideologically and intellectually, I need to inhabit him aesthetically. The suits, the posture, the careful phrasing and cadence that signals a seriousness in his vomited up word salad diatribes, the same way a clerical collar implies authority, I needed the appropriate presentation for myself.
Someone made this for me at this company called LGFG. They made me 12 suits, one for each rule. And this one is heaven and hell. So that's heaven and hell.
It's well known that Jordan Peterson has a flair for fashion. His custom suits have a distinct kitschiness to them, and if I wanted that Peterson presence, I would need something similar. And after a bit of searching, I was able to find his tailor. And what the fuck is that, Rob Schneider? It turns out LGFG Fashion House literally tailors to internet reactionaries and some celebrities of the right-wing variety, which was good for me given my budding YouTube presence. Hello, my name is Trillium Marr, though most people simply know me as Trill. I'm reaching out to inquire about commissioning a custom suit. I've been following your work for some time and noticed your experience tailoring for a range of public-facing personalities, including Jordan B. Peterson. As someone who is currently building a media presence of my own, I'm interested in exploring a suit in a similar vein. Something structured, intentional, and unmistakably serious without tipping into costume. At present, I'm envisioning a two-piece suit in a dark red or oxblood tone, with complementary pick stitching and relatively narrow lapels. I'm aiming for something that communicates authority and deliberateness while still allowing for a bit of personality. For the lining, I'd love to incorporate a custom design based on the attached artwork. This would be my first fully custom piece, so I'd welcome any guidance you might have regarding fabric selection, cut, or details that would best support the overall goal. I'm happy to adjust specifics based on your recommendations. Please let me know what the next steps look like, as well as any information you'd need from me to move forward. Thank you for your time. I look forward to hearing from you. Best regards, Trill Mar. I had then attached a picture of Jordan Peterson fighting a dragon, which is currently available for purchase, signed for the low price of $9.95 on the official Trill Mar merch store. It's the only item currently available. I'm kind of just trying to recoup the cost of that Understand Myself test. While I waited to hear back from my new tailors, I started to wonder how Jordan would feel about what I was doing. He's been quite vocal about his opposition to gender-affirming care, or butchery as he prefers to call it.
Why are we butchering children?
But then again, Jordan Peterson has clearly gone some of his own gender-affirming care in the form of hair transplant surgery.
That his hair has substantially improved throughout his career despite his increasing age.
And while I can't afford to buy that aggressively immaculate hairline, for only $12.99 I can buy this Manic Panic vegan hairspray to replicate that silver fox sheen. Now that the hair's right, I needed to work on the voice. Dr. Peterson has a specific way of speaking. The accent, cadence, intonation, tonality, it all needs to be perfect. I sat in front of the mirror for what seemed like hours practicing.
Postmodern, neo-Marxist sons of bitches. What are we gonna do about men? I was addicted to benzodiazepines.
Next was the diet. Peterson follows a strict carnivore diet. He claims it's for his health, but I suspect it's to make Joe Rogan like him a bit more. Either way, I began eating nothing but meat, salt, and beef tallow, but promptly stopped after 3 days due to uncontrollable sudden onset diarrhea. As it turns out, your body really needs fiber to bulk things up back there. Over a week had gone by, and predictably I hadn't heard from the tailor, so I decided to continue on with my education. Just as time waits for no man, I can't wait for high-end fashion. I logged onto the Peterson Academy website and began the meticulous application process. Apparently a high-end university like this only requires you to fork over $400, which isn't cheap, but if there's one thing I've learned from Jordan Peterson, it's that if a man wants to truly change, he has to commit. I browsed the classes to see what was available, but realized I would need to set up some sort of student profile. You see, while creating an overpriced Udemy wouldn't be something beyond Jordan and Michaela Peterson, the Peterson Academy itself is something more. It's a recreation of the university experience for only a fraction of the price. You create a profile, add a picture and description, but don't mistake this for some sort of overpriced social media platform. No. At the Peterson Academy, you can follow other students, make posts, comment, repost others. Okay, so it's exactly just another social media platform. You might be asking yourself what kind of people post on the Peterson Academy. It's exactly the type you'd expect. For my first class, I decided to go ahead and take Intro to Neuroscience with Dr. Jalal. And after sitting through the first lecture, I wasn't finding myself interested in the material. I decided I would make a discussion post to try to find a bit more engagement with other students, and that's when I noticed something in the sidebar. Jordan Peterson himself teaches a class on how to plan your life, and that's exactly what I needed. I didn't attend the prestigious Peterson Academy to learn about neuroscience. I was seeking change, personal improvement, self-discovery. I immediately began the first lecture and was enraptured. The content was exactly what I've grown to expect from Jordan Peterson. Not comprehensible, useful knowledge, but intellectually sparse regurgitation of non-points to fill time. Surprisingly, the first lesson of the class was not, "Don't get addicted to benzodiazepines." If Dr. Peterson had chosen that as part of the curriculum, I would have failed miserably. Addiction is a serious issue, but I'm going to quote comedian Jim Jeffries here and say, I take drugs like a fucking champion. So the last thing I need is someone like Jordan Peterson talking to me about discipline, which is the subject of the second lecture of the series, Desire and Discipline. Like, if you desire to take drugs, have the discipline to not wind up at a Russian detox center in an 8-day coma.
Percocet, you want one?
Are you gonna make it, or are you gonna be okay
for
it?
sure, man. Come on, ain't no addict.
After each class, I would take a quiz over the material. I don't want to brag, but scoring 100% each time, by the way, until completing the last lecture and reaching the final exam. I've never been good at testing, and the pressure was overwhelming. My perfect 100% class average was on the line, something that had surely never been achieved, and when I finally pressed complete, I sat back expecting to see my Jordan Peterson branded certificate. And nothing. Just a redirect back to my profile page. I'll admit I was disappointed. I wanted something to hang on the wall of my office that no one would actually ever see, but instead I was just ushered on to the next class. I had achieved so much and come so far. When I started this journey, I was conflicted about my content. I had made something that seemed to work and most people enjoyed. My channel was growing, but the vocal minority attempted to silence me, and to their credit, they had succeeded. But as I sought help from Dr. Peterson, it became clear that I wasn't simply just meant to be some sort of stand-up reactionary on YouTube. There was something larger at work. There was a gap in the Peterson Academy's catalog, and it felt as if the universe itself, through all the chaos and uncertainty, had quietly steered me toward the responsibility of filling it. To whom it may concern, my name is Trillium Marr, recent graduate of the Peterson Academy, content creator, social commentator, defender of free speech, and founder of the Trill Marr Center for Comedic Studies. Our research group has contributed meaningful insights to the cultural landscape, particularly our critical analysis of Natalie Cuomo's comedy special, Shut Up, You Loved It. That work has been peer-evaluated through more than 200,000 deeply engaged views, comments, and a small but passionate Reddit argument. In academia, this is what we call consensus. With this background in mind, I feel compelled to offer my services to this distinguished institution of higher learning. I would like to teach a course, YouTube Comedy Critique 101. Below is the proposed syllabus. Week 1, what even is comedy and why does it keep getting banned? Week 2, the history of people being triggered by jokes, myself included. Week 3, long-form thought analysis versus saying this sucks for 45 minutes. Week 4, algorithm worship and the spiritual bankruptcy of analytics. Week 5, the thumbnail as a philosophical weapon. Week 6, original thought versus delicious, convenient slop. Final project, critique a comedian online and survive the comments section with dignity intact. If this curriculum meets your standards, please advise me on scheduling. Once confirmed, I will immediately book a flight to your Miami studios and arrive prepared, suited, and emotionally fortified. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your ongoing commitment to both knowledge and membership sales. Sincerely, Dr. Trillium Marr, OG, PhD, founder, Trill Marr Center of Comedic Studies. P.S. I have also sent this proposal directly to Dr. Jordan B. Peterson and Michaela Peterson in case they wish to fast-track my appointment. I look forward to your reply. And so, with my credentials submitted, I awaited the inevitable call that would mark the beginning of a new era in higher education and possibly in Western civilization itself. Surely within a few days I'd hear back from the Academy with a thoughtful and professional response. I woke up days later, unable to log into my account, and after trying a password reset and getting an error, I checked my credit card statement to see a full refund. It turns out I'd been unceremoniously expelled from the Peterson Academy. No email, no stern talking to from the dean, they just banned me from the platform. To be honest with you, it may have had to do with this post I made the night before. Obviously, I joined the Peterson Academy with the expectation I would eventually be kicked out. Troll posts, emails about teaching classes, comments on other posts. I really thought any day I'd wake up to an email that I was banned from the platform. But nothing ever came, which was surprising given that they had actually banned people who wanted to be at the Peterson Academy. Take a look at Dusty, a former student of the Peterson Academy, talk about her experience after being banned.
There are people that it took us days to track down on the internet because we were worried. Yep. We knew about their life situation, that they would be lonely, that this would be stressful because we were a really tight-knit community at this point. And so we eventually managed to get in touch with everybody that I know of who was banned, but we don't know who might have been banned without warning that we don't know about yet. But we had no warning to gather our community, lost all of our course progress. So that's 5 months of my life invested in contributing to a platform and a potential university education, which I'm putting in air quotes because I still am not clear on whether this is a university, a business, I'm not clear.
I'm assuming if you're this far into the video, it's obvious what the Peterson Academy is. A for-profit business that will never be accredited. It exists only to leech money from people who, for one reason or another, can't tell they're getting scammed. It would be easy to call people like Dusty stupid and dismiss them as getting what they deserve for falling for a hustle, but more than anything, I feel kind of bad. I have more sympathy than any sort of contempt. Don't get me wrong, from the content to the policies, the Peterson Academy is a right-wing fascistic hellscape. One main argument for public universities is the fostering of diversity, exposing students to different backgrounds and ideas, and helping them develop a more open-minded worldview. But the Peterson Academy is just a feedback loop of conservative arguments. Take this lecture on sex and birth control and the claim that not wanting to have kids is a genetic trait that will go away with some time, and that removing the, quote, cost of sex with hormonal birth control can lead to suicidal ideation, something research has really shown no causal proof of.
You know, how is it that the use of hormonal birth control, right, using something that allows women to remove the cost of sex from sex, like in what other ways is that changing the world? It's an interesting thought experiment, right? When we change women, we change the world, right? And this is true both for better, like in the case of women's ability to be able to regulate their fertility, allows them to achieve more. It's also sometimes for the worse. So we do know that for some women, the use of hormonal birth control can be related to psychological side effects that can be nothing short of devastating, such as what we get with the increased risk of suicidal thought and suicidal behavior.
Pause knowing you're full of shit.
It changes us for better and for worse.
But of course, I never would have had to actually pay for the Peterson Academy to know any of this.
Don't be so sure.
But I did enroll, and they expelled me. So now I have the last thing I need to embody Dr. Jordan Peterson, an institutional enemy that, despite them not really having any slightest impact on my personal life, I can finger wag at as my opposition. My posts and comments were just too much truth for their establishment. Just like my own critics in the comments section, they, the Peterson Academy, were trying to silence me. So I put on my finest thrift store blazer and painted my hair a shiny metallic gray. I'm gonna need to pull myself together for this and use everything Dr. Peterson has taught me.
Hi everybody! I want to speak plainly to you for a moment about the recent deletion of my content. Not as an entertainer or content creator, but as someone who absolutely refuses to back down in the face of coordinated cowardice and corporate intimidation. Recently, my work was deleted, banished, erased. It wasn't because it was wrong, but because it made people uncomfortable. Because it dared to laugh at things certain humorless bureaucrats have decided mustn't be laughed at. And yet, here we are. I looked at your responses, I listened to the viewers, the actual human beings with thoughts and independent judgment, and guess what? The people spoke, loudly, and I listened. Some of you brave warriors that courageously slew the metaphorical dragon and left your emails in the feedback survey have randomly been contacted about gift cards simply because I appreciate you engaging like adults in a world full of bots and performative outrage. Now, there have been whispers of threats and attempts to remove me off this platform entirely. Legal pressure, personal exposure, and yes, a certain comedian, a self-appointed digital warlord of remarkable moral inferiority, has taken to waving my personal information around like some grotesque trophy in his ongoing campaign to use fear as a weapon, to silence dissent, and to frighten me into submission, as if intimidation is supposed to make me kneel. No, absolutely not. I will not be silenced, and I will not bow to the mob. My work, which the neo-Marxist comment section hall monitors falsely screeches AI derivative slop, deserves to be seen. Is it derivative? Yes. Is it slop? Also yes. But it's my derivative slop, and I stand by it. This little comedy cringe industrial complex, it isn't shutting down, it's scaling up. As of today, I've begun uploading all of my previous content, and from now on, every ounce of shameless, unrestrained comedy cringe, every piece of satirical chaos, rhetorical slop, and cultural vandalism I create will live right here on this channel, including a brand new piece, Tim Pool's Liberal Dream Machine. This will continue to be home base, the beating heart of the Trillmar comedy mother slop operation. No barriers and no paywalls. This channel remains a place for real thought, real conversation, and yes, real comedy. Something more interesting than outrage for outrage's sake. Because if we're going to do this, we're going to do it properly. We're getting louder, funnier, we're getting sharper. And if that terrifies certain people who are above critique, well, they might want to step aside because the Trill train is leaving the station. And you can either climb aboard or get out of the bloody way, bucko.
I need to give credit for that Trill train comment. I saw someone post that before, but can't remember who actually said it, so thanks to whoever that viewer was. So anyway, starting next week, videos are going to be re-uploaded with some minor edits, mainly to cover legal stuff, basically just a disclaimer at the beginning like this one. After that, we're back to a regular upload schedule with new videos, and I'm really excited for some of the stuff we got coming up. To be a bit vulnerable, I truly do appreciate the support this channel has gotten. Every like, comment, sub, it really does have a genuine impact on me. I make every video with the expectation it could be the last piece of content I produce, or anyone even cares about enough to watch. So with that in mind, I've decided to commit to never posting any of my normal content behind a paywall that won't also be available for free. Times are tough, and even a few dollars can be hard for a lot of people right now. Finally, I want to connect with the community more. I realized from the survey I did a while back that a lot of people have recommendations for video topics or just general feedback, and I like to have a way to engage in those conversations. So there's a link in the description to the Comedy Mother Slop Discord if you want to drop in and talk a little slop. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, you know the drill.